Hello and welcome to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast number 53. This week, following feedback, we have controversial news, exciting news, and just how did the Face of Boe become pregnant? This week's feedback comes in various guises, starting with Michael J. Doyle, who commented following last week's show.
Come here, you scrumptious little beauty. A box?
Doctor, what is it?
I've got mail.
Says Michael, an interesting character is Jack. Much like Turlough, he's picked up reluctantly and isn't trusted by the Doctor. I have to say I don't like the fact that he's supposed to be the Face of Boe. In the episode, Martha even says the name Face of Boe in Jack's hearing, and there's no reaction from him. It really seems as though RTD was just throwing in some fluff at the end, rather than thinking it through. I also didn't like how utterly dismal Torchwood got. As good as Children of Earth was, it was just so dark. And don't get me wrong, I do like the dark stories, but this one just seemed too dark for dark's sake. And I didn't like Miracle Day at all, I was bored. Still, I do like the character, and Barrowman still did well, even though there were things that I didn't like. Nice new symbol too. Thanks for that, Michael, and thanks too to Daniel Ryder, who also expressed his like for our new logo. Once again, my personal thanks to Scott Adam Julian from the Facebook page Doctor Who Quotes for Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast page new logo.
I've never heard such arrant nonsense.
The next batch of feedback came from a post on the Facebook page. Now, it won't have escaped the notice of many of you that there's a rumoured new series said to be about the time when the Doctor and the Master were children, and before they took their respective titles. I put my own thoughts on the page and then threw it open for your thoughts and comments, and here's what you said. Nikolai Pike, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, said, "I hope it dies. Some things are best left unexplained." Valerie Frost questioned, "I thought there was confusion anyway as to whether he's half human or loomed. Is there anything on the Hermit?" I have responded to Valerie's questions on Facebook, but if you have any thoughts of your own on her questions, please feel free to post them on the page. Art J. Fink commented, "There's no need to explore or explain their background in this way. Look how the Star Wars prequels sucked all the mystery and surprise out of the original trilogy. Leave this material untouched, to be uncovered as needed by the Prime series." Andrew Marmot expressed his thoughts thus. "Good grief. I can't think of anything that we need less. Well, perhaps the plague. The youth thing has been done very well with the Sarah Jane Adventures, so there's no need for this. I've previously passed comment on the fact that story is king, and this is the very antithesis of this. If the origins of the Doctor are unravelled, it risks the very foundations of the show, and that would be just stupid. Rant over. Besides, according to the posts above, it's a Kickstarter thing, so it'll die a quiet death and never raise its head again." Still more views came from Timothy Fraser. "I would like to see this, but only after the parent show is gone, and they haven't already explained his life through flashbacks or dialogue." Jeff Waddell added, "The Kickstarter thing. Given that it only has a couple of days left, and so far they've only raised 1% of what they need, it ain't gonna happen. Good." And as we start to draw your thoughts about this particular issue to a close, Will Reeves said, "I think the glimpse of the Doctor and the Master was enough. That scene has kept us guessing for a while. There's no need to do a prequel. The Night of the Doctor was needed to package everything nicely with a bow. Jared Seceda, and again I hope I've pronounced that correctly, said, "I'm not sure. I mean, as Whovians we have to accept that sooner or later the Doctor's past will become the focus of storylines. I mean, it's already been explored in the novels, but that doesn't seem to be being considered as canon. So, by the same turn, the new TV show, endorsed by the BBC or not, I believe it is, but the books were too, won't necessarily be canon to the main series. I've always taken the concept of more of a what-if scenario, that sort of thing. That aside, I am interested in seeing what they decide to do with the series." And finally on this issue was Paul Blackhurst, who summed it up perfectly when he said, "Don't need it, don't want it. It's called Doctor Who, and not Doctor Oh, so that's what they did at the Academy." And on that note, the defence rests.
I'm sorry, sir, you're not allowed in there. Not allowed? Me? I'm allowed everywhere.
Now, regular listeners to the show will know that unless it's something very special, I don't usually run news items on this show. There are plenty of other Doctor Who podcasts out there that have a regular news slot. This week, however, something very exciting has come to light. It appears that a licensing issue that has hitherto stopped the Lego company from producing Doctor Who-themed kits has been resolved. Now, be aware that this doesn't mean that Lego will be making Doctor Who kits from tomorrow, but it does mean that we are one stop closer to getting just that, and I for one am very excited.
The Face of Boe, they called me.
In answer to the post I put up asking if Jack really was the Face of Boe, Michael Doyle said this: "No, he's Rex Matheson. Look at the picture of the Face of Boe next to a picture of Mackay Pfeiffer. And now that Rex has the same abilities as Jack, it will be a better idea." Interesting thought, Michael, and whether it's true or not I don't know that we'll ever know. But now on with today's main topic.
You are not alone.
The Face of Boe isn't portrayed on screen by an actor, but is a wholly mechanical effect, resembling a gigantic human-like head with a weathered face, and in place of hair numerous tendrils which terminate in round pod-like structures. Typically this is encased in a clear sealed container and mounted on movable pedestal base. The face merely grunted during his appearance in The End of the World and communicated telepathically in New Earth and Gridlock, and then spoke for the first and last time in the latter, and was voiced by Strawn Roger. It's stated in New Earth that he's thought to be millions of years old, billions at least according to Gridlock, but responded with a statement concerning the impossibility of such an age.
Everything has its time. You know that, old friend, better than most.
The Doctor has encountered the Face of Boe 3 times. In End of the World, set 5 billion years in the future, the Face of Boe sponsored the safe viewing of Earth's destruction by the expansion of the Sun. The event was sabotaged, but the Face of Boe survived along with most of the guests thanks to the Ninth Doctor's intervention. In New Earth, the Face of Boe is apparently dying of old age in a new New York hospital in the year 5,023,000,023. His nurse, one of the Sisters of Plenitude, Novice Haim, tells the 10th Doctor that Sleeping Face sometimes sings ancient songs, which she hears telepathically, and relates the legend that just before dying, the Face will reveal his greatest secret to one like himself, a wanderer without a home, a lonely god, such as the Doctor. When the Doctor later asks the Face of Boe about the legend, the Face of Boe claims that the great secret can wait for their third and final meeting, and enigmatically teleports away to an unspecified destination. The Face of Boe's ostensible last appearance is in Gridlock in the year 5,053,000,053, sometime after a drug-induced plague has wiped out almost all life on New Earth. He has been using his life force to power the Undercity of New York, which was sealed off from the rest of the planet to save the only survivors from the now extinct virus. The Face of Boe needed the Doctor's help to free the people from the Undercity, and he uses the last of his life energy to provide the power boost to unseal the exits. As was foretold in legend, the sky of the Undercity splits asunder just before the Face of Boe dies. In his final moments, the Face of Boe reveals his great secret to the Doctor.
You are not alone.
The Doctor tells Martha that the Face of Boe must be mistaken, but it's later revealed that there is indeed another Time Lord. The Master has also survived the Time War. In the episode End of the World, the Face of Boe is described as a being of considerable influence in galactic circles and is identified as coming from the Silver Devastation. In Bad Wolf, set in the 2002 century, he's said to be the oldest being in the Aesop galaxy. In the long game, set 100 years earlier, a TV network reports that he's pregnant with the baby Boamina, although the credibility of Satellite 5's news reporting is taken into question in that episode as well. In New Earth, it's stated that the Face of Boe is the last of his species, the Boe kind having died off long before. The Doctor also makes a comment that the Face of Boe is possibly over 5 billion years old. In Last of the Time Lords, Jack Harkness expresses concern about how he might look if he lives for 1 million years.
What about aging? Because I can't die, but I keep getting older. The odd little gray hair, you know? What happens if I live for 1 million years?
I really don't know.
Okay, vanity, sorry. Yeah. Can't help it. Used to be a poster boy when I was a kid, living in the Beauchene Peninsula. Tiny little place. I was the first one ever to be signed up for the Time Agency. They were so proud of me. The Face of Boe, they called me.
Martha finds that hard to believe, since Captain Jack's personality differs from that of the Face of Boe. Writer Russell T Davies in the episode's commentary called the implication of this scene a theory as to the Face of Boe's origins, prompting executive producer Julie Gardner to urge him to stop backpedaling about the two characters being the same. Davies also said that after writing the scene, he inserted a line in the ADR recording for Gridlock in which the Face of Boe calls the Doctor old friend. However, Davies doesn't like making the relationship between Jack and Boe explicit, stating the moment it became very true or very false, the joke dies. He's refused the publication of spin-off novels and comic books that have tried to definitively link the two.
Oh, goodbye, my dear chap. I must say I've had the time of my lives.
And that's all for this week. As always, thanks for listening, and if you have any feedback on the show, you can email me at respectthething@outlook.com, or post your feedback on Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast on Facebook, or you can inbox me on the same page. Next week, a slight departure from our usual character-driven show. I'll be taking up Michael Santiago Lopez's idea of looking at the whole wibbly-wobbly timey-wimey issue. How and why is it that the Doctors only remember certain things about their pasts and futures? And is Moffat's one-line explanation in The Day of the Doctor that the timelines are out of sync really good enough? So until next week, or should that be last week? Thank you for listening to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all copyright and property of the BBC, and no infringement is intended.